By now, you have probably seen some things about the Enneagram. Maybe you figured out what your number was from one of the online quizzes or viewed some of the other videos on this topic. Why should we care about the Enneagram? Is following your Enneagram number more important than knowing your Hogwarts house or how your preferred pizza toppings predict how many children you will have? This quiz says that I am an Enneagram 6. That's interesting. Hey look, here's a video with puppies. Since you are watching this, it seems that you are curious about the Enneagram and would like to dive a little deeper. This is good. Gaining a greater understanding of the Enneagram is a first step in becoming the best version of yourself. The Enneagram is known for the numbered circle with all the crisscrossing lines. There's a lot of information about those numbers and lines in other places. We will talk about all of those in other videos. This video, however, dives a little deeper. It explains how the various points, or numbers, on the Enneagram arise from the three intelligence centers out of which all human beings live. The relationships between the 9 Enneagram types can be better understood by grouping the types into the following 3 intelligence centers. The intellectual intelligence center, also known as the head center, the emotional intelligence center, or the heart center, and the instinctual intelligence center, also known as the gut center. These intelligence centers are the ways that each of us perceive and process reality. As human beings, we operate from all 3 intelligence centers all the time. But based upon our personality type, we each have a way of living and interacting with the world that favors one of these 3 intelligence centers over the others. Within each of the 3 intelligence centers, there are externalized, internalized, or repressed expressions of that intelligence center. From these expressions, the 9 Enneagram types emerge. This symmetry within the 3 intelligence centers is the foundation upon which the Enneagram was built. Understanding these relationships helps us to understand the Enneagram. Understanding the interrelationships of the Enneagram helps us to understand our own motivations and the motivations of those we love and those with whom we come into contact every day. Our Enneagram number tells us, and others, the intelligence center from which we operate, and whether our personalities are an externalized, internalized, or repressed expression of that intelligence center. The personality types represented by the various numbers are not just random collections of facts about ourselves or others. They are a form of shorthand that allows us to know ourselves and others more easily. George Gurdjieff, credited with bringing the Enneagram symbol to the modern world, stated that we are 3-brained people. He believed that these 3 aspects of self are the rudimentary ways that we perceive and process reality, and that true spiritual experience is possible only when all 3 are processed simultaneously. He believed this 3-centered awareness allowed for a deep level of compassion and integration through embodied experience, the body, heartfulness, or the heart, and mindfulness, the head. Let's talk about these intelligence centers, starting with the intellectual intelligence center, also called the head center. Enneagram types 5, 6, and 7 operate from the head, or intellectual intelligence center. These types spend a lot of energy analyzing, speculating, forecasting, and planning. They are convinced that things can be sorted out in their minds if they spend enough time thinking through and assimilating every aspect of the information that is available to them. Those that operate from the intellectual center are prone to overthinking things. This can cause a sort of mental paralysis with obsessive worrying about every possible thing that could possibly go wrong. Their most accessible emotion is fear or anxiety. This can keep them constantly alert and mentally restless. Let's move on to the Emotional Intelligence Center, also called the Heart Center. Enneagram Types 2, 3, and 4 operate from the heart or Emotional Intelligence Center. These types experience a genuine sensitivity or attunement to the emotional well-being of those in their family and those with whom they are in regular close contact. Those in the Heart Center are able to feel what everyone feels. They validate the feelings of others even when those others do not have words for those feelings themselves. Those in this intelligence center build trust through natural warmth of presence, sympathetic understanding, and sincere kindness. Driven to make deep connections, swimming through all these emotions can be overwhelming at times. Those who operate from the Heart Center can be preoccupied with making comparisons between themselves and others. Their most accessible emotion is guilt or shame. The last of the three intelligence centers to discuss is the Instinctive Intelligence Center, also known as the Gut Center. Enneagram Types 8, 9, and 1 operate from the Gut or Instinctive Intelligence Center. These types have effortless access to their innate intuitive awareness. They are more inclined to operate on gut instinct than those in the other intelligence centers. Operating from this intelligence center, they are able to read the energy of other people. This is something difficult to explain, but is profoundly real, manifesting as a feeling in the body. Sometimes those in the gut center can experience a visceral too muchness that spills out as their most accessible emotion, anger, or frustration. They have a conflicted relationship with control, and this presents itself in three different ways, represented by the three Enneagram types that rise from the gut center. As referenced earlier, each of the three intelligence centers has an externalized, repressed, and internalized expression. Moving in a clockwise direction, the first number in each intelligence center is the externalized expression of that intelligence center. The next number is the repressed expression, and continuing in a clockwise direction, the third number is the internalized expression. To illustrate how this is expressed in the Enneagram, let's start at the top with the Instinctive or Gut Intelligence Center. Enneagram Type 8 is the externalized expression of the Gut Center. The most easily accessed emotion in the Gut Center is anger. This is expressed in the 8 as they are the number on the diagram most comfortable with the expression of anger. Depending on circumstances, this can be a good thing or a bad thing. The 9's anger is repressed. It's there, but the 9 may not always be aware of it. The 9's anger is stored up, and under stress, it can come out all at once in the form of angry outbursts, crying spells, or other extreme ways. Most of the time, the 9 is easygoing, being able to see all points of view. Sometimes called the peacemaker, the 9 can bring people together or get along with even the most disagreeable people. 1s, sometimes labeled as the perfectionist, are in touch with their anger, but it can come out as irritation towards others who do not care, as much as they do, about doing things properly. Often, their greatest angers turn inward at themselves. This is because they often fail to meet up to their own high standards. If they can't do something right, they don't want to do it at all. Continuing clockwise into the emotional, or heart, intelligence center, the pattern repeats with an externalized expression of the next intelligence center. 2's emotions are externalized. Their emotions are out there for all to see. They need to meet the emotional needs of others and have their own emotional needs met in return. They can be hurt when they believe that others do not mirror their emotional intensity or care as deeply about things as they do. At the anchor point of the heart center, the 3 pursues emotional connection in the form of love and approval earned by their success. That is because, like the 9 at the anchor point of the gut center, the 3 may be unaware of these emotional needs. 3s can be like chameleons, changing and adapting to those around them to unconsciously gain their acceptance or favor. The 4, on the other hand, internalizes all their emotions. They are aware of these emotions and spend a lot of time thinking about them. In strength, 4s are very creative and have great appreciation for beauty. In stress, they can believe themselves to be cut off, believing that no one knows or appreciates their internal struggles. Continuing clockwise into the intellectual or head intelligence center, we meet the 5. As before, the first type in the head center is the externalized expression of that center. 5s can easily access their fear, and they devote their energy into understanding its source. This is so they can figure out what they need to do to deal with that fear. The 6 sits at the anchor point of the head center. 6s struggle to get out of their own heads and tend to question everything. In strength, they can be logical and organized. In stress, they can feel high levels of anxiety, seeing danger around every corner, always preparing for the worst. 6s are thought to be the most common of all Enneagram types, but they are often difficult to type. Wanting to prepare for every possibility, they end up overthinking things. Finishing up, the 7 is the internalized expression of the head center. The fear that is so easily accessed in the head center is there, but the 7 deals with it by confronting it through action rather than study. If they fear something, they want to charge right in and confront that fear. Because this fear is internalized, observers might not believe that it is fear driving their unrelenting desire for new experience. Summarized, the externalized expressions of the intelligence centers, 8, 2, and 5, express the force of their type's energy by exaggerating it. They appear to amplify their instinctive anger, shame, or fear. The anchor points, 9, 3, and 6, are the repressed expressions of the intelligence centers. They suppress their center by unconsciously disconnecting from it. This causes a void or hollowness in relation to it. Because of these types do not have a wing outside of their center, they lack a sort of depth perception, limiting their ability to access energy from other intelligence centers. The internalized expressions of the intelligence centers, 1, 4, and 7, idealize the energy flow by giving over to its momentum. These types ingest the extremes of their intelligence center by idealizing what they effortlessly pull from within themselves. So we see that there is a symmetry within the 3 intelligence centers. The traits observed in the 9 personality types of the Enneagram are not just random collections of trivia for each type. As we see here, each of the numbers of the Enneagram is an externalized, suppressed, or internalized expression of one of the 3 intelligence centers we live from as human beings. Understanding the interrelationships of the intelligence centers and their expressions is a place to begin a deeper understanding of the Enneagram and ourselves.